Welcome to Net Front Presence. I'm Jeff Gordon of the Post-Dispatch, joined by our beat reporter Matthew DeFranks from Toronto. First up, Matt, was Chief happy to see you? Was he all emotional?
No, I don't think I quite made him tear up. No.
But this is a serious time for the Blues. Boy, just a pretty good effort against the Jets. The Jets are just the better team right now. Jets playing great. The Blues don't quite win, but boy, the you lose Robert Thomas for at least 6 weeks with a broken ankle blocking a shot. And this team, as you wrote, of all the things this guy does for this team, man, replacing all the things this guy does for the team is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, he does so much. I mean, it's not like many teams can withstand losing their number one center. You take a number one center off of more than half of the teams in the league, it's going to be an issue. Uh, but for this team in particular, obviously it is an issue with some relative inexperience down the middle. When you look at Pavel Buchnevich and his full-time transition to center this year, Dylan Holloway is going to be playing some center right now. He hasn't done that on a full-time basis in the NHL. And then all the different areas that Robert Thomas touches. I mean, he's leading the Blues forwards in ice time with over 20 a game. There's been a couple nights where he's gotten close to 23 minutes in a game. He plays on the power play. He plays on the penalty kill. He's in empty net situations. He's in 6-on-5 situations. He's your best faceoff guy from the right side. There's just so many different aspects that the Blues will need to cover now that Robert Thomas is out. And they'll have to do it for quite some time. If you count out 6 weeks from the announcement yesterday, I believe that's December 4, and that encompasses 19 games. So that's almost a quarter of the season where you're expected to not have Robert Thomas available. And 6 weeks is a reevaluation timeline is what the Blues announced, and we've seen in the past where maybe sometimes that happens a little bit early. They come back. I can think a couple of years ago when Torrey Krug kind of beat that timeline. O'Reilly, Tarasenko, when they were hurt before they got traded, kind of beat that timeline. So 6 weeks is the timeline they announced. We'll see what it actually ends up being, but regardless, fractured ankle, all the different areas that Robert Thomas touches, just not good news for the Blues yesterday.
Well, let's start with Pavel Buchnevich. He is learning the center position, and he was learning it as a 2C, which is pretty difficult. Now he's doing it as the number one center. Even when he's got a guy, if he can play with Jordan Kyrou and Kyrou can drive play to some degree and be a playmaker in addition to a shooter, boy, you're asking a lot of Pavel at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, I can look at their top two lines today, and I don't know which one's one and which one's two. They're the two lines. They got Brandon Saad with Braden Shen and Jake Neighbors, and then it's Alexander Texier, Pavel Buchnevich, and Jordan Kyrou. So you can either look at it and say, is Braden Shen your number one center, or you can look at it and say, is Alexander Texier on your number one line on the left wing. So, to me, I think it'll depend game by game, matchup by matchup, what the usage ends up being. But yeah, you're right. It's a lot different for Buchnevich because now, I'm looking at it wondering who's the number one line. I'm sure other teams are looking at it that same way too. It's not like it was before where it was very clearly Robert Thomas, you're getting the toughest matchups out there. Now other teams might look at it and say Pavel Buchnevich, Jordan Kyrou, Texier, or whoever ends up rotating onto that left wing throughout the 6 weeks. I think we'll see a lot of different looks. Um, they might be the guys that get that tough matchup. And it's been nicer to see him get easier matchups, and while Thomas was able to still kind of control his minutes against tough matchups. We will be looking to see, what happens with Buchnevich if he can kind of snap out of this mini funk that he's in right now and get back to being productive.